And we're recording. Hey, I'm Zach Joyner, your friendly neighborhood host of the Spideydude Experience. This is episode 2 of our show, and I've got some returning panelists from last episode, and I have a new panelist that I'll introduce here shortly. First up, hailing from the great state of Texas, he is Neil Bogenreiter. Neil, welcome back.
I didn't know Texas was a city.
Did I say the great city of Texas? I thought I
yes.
said great state of Texas. Great state of Texas. Whatever. It's fine. From the city of Austin, Texas, Mr. Neil Bogenreiter.
Didn't you say it again? I think you just said it again.
I know I did. The city of Austin, Texas. So it actually said that.
But either ways, I'm doing really good. I have this thing of rice. It used to be bigger, but I ate most of it.
Well, I would hope so. Instead of it like mysteriously disappearing, like a little awkward.
But no, I'm doing good. It's a Friday night, and I'm ready to go to Giddings tomorrow. Get some stuff.
Nice. All right. Next up is our hailing from the West Coast. He is Adam Schingle. Adam, welcome back.
Hello.
So, I like the Batman shirt, man. I dig it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll be showing my shirt off in just a second. So welcome back, Adam. But we have a new panelist, and last but certainly not least, she is hailing from the state of Georgia.
Hi.
So this is Kelly McDaniel. Kelly,
hey.
welcome to the experience. This is your first time. You recorded so late last time.
Yes.
You couldn't be on the program, but
yeah, working that 9 to 5. Unfortunately, could not go to 3 a.m. like you guys did the first time.
Yeah. Hopefully nobody can tell how late we went to when they listen to the episode. I do want to say this right quick, just so everybody knows. I'm super, super appreciative of those that have reached out. Since we've recorded the last episode, I made the announcement that we're doing this new show, and I have had a lot of people reach out. It's been a really positive response, and so I'm really, really excited. So there might be a couple other people coming on here later, guys like Paul and Brian, but they are stuck in traffic, so hopefully they'll be on whenever they can jump on. So, but I wanted to get the intro out of the way because we are going to be talking about a new set of comics this episode. We're going to be covering issues 6 through 11, legacy number of 807 through 812.
Wait, wouldn't that be in the middle of the lifetime? Wouldn't that be the first issue of the Lifetime Achievement arc? Because that's the third trade.
It is.
It's the first.
811.
What?
I mean 811.
Oh.
The trade on Amazon has two different numberings.
Yeah, I mean, I did wind up reading through 813, but that's fine. It's fine.
You're ahead. You're prepared.
You're just an overachiever.
Yeah.
Always.
So
it was school. It was.
Yeah, absolutely.
It kind of feels like school a little bit, reading these again.
I'm going back to school, so it's good practice.
Just to remind those that are watching us on our YouTube page, you can always go to our website, Spideydude.com. That's where our front page is. We've got our Facebook page.
The internet is fun.
Facebook page.
Do we have a LinkedIn?
We don't have. No.
You have that thing on the side.
You have it in a tab on there.
Neil, do we need a LinkedIn? Do you need
we should
make a
LinkedIn? Yeah.
For free.
Yeah, right there.
That's not LinkedIn. That's Discord, dude.
No.
On the left.
Oh.
Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah. I gotta fix that widget. I forgot that I had that widget up. So anyway, this is our Facebook page. Go to our Facebook page, our Twitter feed, and our Instagram.
If only the Instagram webpage could also be dark, then it would match. It would be aesthetically pleasing, and it's just not right now.
It would be better than light mode. I like dark mode.
I do like dark mode. But it's the thing is Instagram is not meant to be used as a web page.
Yeah,
they just have it. so you don't always have to be on your phone while you Instagram stalk people. And, that's fine.
That's terrifying.
I mean, it's true though. It's the way of the world now. Thank you, internet.
Wow.
Yes, thank you, internet.
So,
Thank you, internet.
Thank you,
internet.
for not letting us do dark mode on Instagram.
That's what we want.
It really is annoying. Like I can do dark mode here. I can do dark mode, there. I can do dark mode
Everywhere.
Nope, not Instagram. Has to be light mode.
Yep.
Namaste.
So, you can always check us out at those particular social medias. Of course, you can go and leave us a voicemail at our voicemail line at 818-925-6631. That is where you can leave us a voicemail for any of our shows on the network, and we'll try to play them on various episodes. So I want to start where we're talking about Amazing Spider-Man number 6. This was part of a 2-part arc that opens up the next trade paperback of the Spencer run called Friends and Foes. So basically, this is where we kind of are getting more into Peter Parker's life. This is where Nora Winter shows back up. She interacts with Brandy Robinson. She also, which is a very hilarious scene where Peter and Mary Jane are out on a date. We also get the interaction, as the cover kind of alludes to, with Fred and Mary Jane meeting for the first time. MJ actually likes him.
There's nothing to hate about Fred, technically.
Well, it's like one of those surface level things where you meet the person and they're a nice kind of guy, but then you start hanging around with them for extended periods of time and their crippling flaws start to come out.
Exactly.
It's just the thing is that he is that roommate. He is the Kramer of the bunch.
Oh yeah.
He's the No, I don't disagree with you guys.
And then Boomerang kicks on the Boomerang kicks on the door. Peter, what if we robbed a museum?
Is that not an episode of Seinfeld? I'm pretty sure that was an episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah, no, I don't. It's one of those things where when you look at everything that happens in this issue, you have things like the opening part where you got Vulture and he's being hunted and by Black Ant and Taskmaster. And of course, that's when we have the interaction with Fred and Jay. But then, probably one of the best parts of this issue is when he follows Fred and he's interacting with the superior foes, and they're having this whole card game, and it's all fun and games. And then we cut back to Randy and Peter, kind of talking it out. He's like, "Dude, this guy's a supervillain."
I'd like to point out for the flashback with the superior foes scene, they brought back Steve Leiber and Rochelle Rosenberg, who did the original superior foes.
Talk about that after we get the issue, but so it comes to the point where Peter's like, "Yeah, I'm an expert on Spider-Man," and so Fred's like, "Well, you need to come with me if you want to live." So they end up going to the bar with no name, and we get a little bit of a brief history of the bar. There was that one time that Scourge showed up and killed everybody in it.
Yeah.
And, if you like bad villains, this is your place, man.
This is my jam, obscure villains land.
You've got Kangaroo, you've got Scorcher, you have the Question.
The Answer, actually.
The Answer.
Oh, is it the Answer?
Yeah, the Answer.
Question's DC. I'm sorry. I'll say this. Who's the guy in the green mask? Because if that's Sin Eater, what?
I think it's...
We have
Wait, which one in the green suit? The guy on the page with the flashback, or the one on the next page?
When Peter first walks into the bar.
Hang on.
Bottom left-hand corner.
I think it was I think it's either not the Eel. I think it's one of the like Hobgoblin's franchise villains.
So we got Spot, we've got White Rabbit, and then of course Elektra's there because she is not an A-list villain. She's like a B-list villain. She starts making threats because we last saw her in the last trade. She was in the Free Comic Book Day issue. This is her first time. Mm-hmm. Then we get Spider-Man Trivia Night. That's right. The answer is going to be the one providing the answers with his knockoff living brain from China. And
I liked that thing, and I would, it's something comforting and unsettling at the same time to have a robot call you fleshlings.
Greetings, fleshlings.
I do like that you brought back like the writing tick of the living brain where he goes word click. I did like that they brought back that little touch. It's something that could have easily just been avoided, but they brought it in.
Yeah. So Peter kind of goes a little crazy because let's face it, Peter's Spider-Man. And
no, he wasn't. Okay, I don't think he was like going crazy. He was actually enjoying himself for once and having a good time. He was just on a 1 to 10 scale of hypeness. He was at a 9.5.
Yeah. So it finally comes down to the history. It's a history in the making moment where it's like, dare he risk everything on a sudden death, double or nothing elimination round? So, he's like, the destruction of this fleshy one will bring me joy. Like that line was really good. So the final question.
I love the answer's reply where he goes like adorable to like where the living brain knockoff goes, the destruction of this flesh, you want to bring me joy, and answer just goes adorable.
Yes. Yes. That's literally out of this whole set. That's like my favorite part out of all of this. Just that whole trivia night, because that is peak. Because I am a millennial, therefore I like to think about people's zodiacs, and it's just this is such peak like true Peter being happy.
Yeah.
Because he knows he can win and be the smartest in the room, so he's got to do it. But it's also like peak Libra, as a fellow Libra, and you guys have seen me basically be at this hype level very recently. So last night.
Yeah. I do like.
I'm like, I feel this. I feel this.
Peter really is happy. Yeah, he really is feeling himself.
I love his smug face after like he's answering the question, like his smug face on that panel in between the answer and living brain.
I love it. I love it. Also, though, like his villain name is the Liar.
Yeah,
and I noticed in my written review, I wrote a review a while back of this issue, that Peter's clothing is purple and green, which are the villain colors.
Yes. Oh, it was really done on purpose. It's cute. It's a cute little nod to that old way. But I don't know. I enjoyed it.
No, I enjoyed when he, when they like basically he's like Corona Motors, they need the endorsement because this is where like continuity, like if you understand what he's saying, it's like, okay, he would know this.
You can, and also they just show that.
Sorry.
Well, they show the answers, but like they say they have the answers, but there's enough revealed that like you can piece together what the question was, and I do kind of appreciate that. Like you could just said like, oh, random answer, like, oh, I fought the rhino once, but they got really specific with like Professor Vasquez with the Erskine papers and the one time he fought Will o' the Wisp.
Yeah, I like that. Will Dexter Bennett, Fire Lord, like makes you, I also like the fact that when Boomerang's in the bathroom taking a leak, making a phone call with Fisk, it says
with Peter's phone.
With Peter.
For a good time, call Boomerang.
Call Boomerang. good time. I don't think that's a nice artistic touch.
Yeah.
Also earlier in the issue, when like it's like that splash panel of like the bar with no name when they first go in. There's a dartboard in the back, and Daredevil's like portrait shot is on it. And they're throwing darts at it.
Like to me, this is where, like, when I first read this issue, I enjoyed this issue so much because of the fact, like, this is where I went, hey, Spencer really knows what he's talking about. He really did his research here, and he really this is a time and effort and dedication, and it's something that at the time, like in 2018, we hadn't felt. To me, like, I hadn't felt it in a Spider-Man comic in years.
Or
we hadn't had fun.
It was things that were always oddly specific with Slott. Like, every time Marla Jameson shows up, you're like, did you know I invented Spider Slayers? Like, it's...
Well, it went from, like, having someone push it over your head and essentially mansplain it to you versus, hey, here's this fun way. And it's like, if you knew it, you're in on the joke. And if you didn't know it, now you have a chance to learn that without it being almost done as like, oh, I'm smarter than you kind of way. Like, it's done in, like Neil said, it's a fun way.
Yeah.
So like if you're a newer reader, it's funny and it's fun. But
this felt like an issue that could have come straight out of Superior Foes. Like Spencer's always been a master of like using comedy as sort of a continuity delivery system, and this was like peak Superior Foes comedy.
Yeah, and this was like when I was first like heard that Spencer was going to be on the show, like on the show. Freudian slip.
But maybe one day.
Look, we're manifesting it into the
we're
ether.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, buddy, you gotta go away. Go away.
Puppy! Bye, puppy.
Send him to my house. We'll have drinks.
You're fine. Anyway.
That's staying in.
I don't care. I don't care if Boy talks to me like this. He's my pups. So
look, Waylon also has an opinion about this episode. He would like to speak it.
Yeah, and I'm about to go get his mother and be like, "Hey, I can't record and have him talking it to me at the same time."
I mean, we don't know the language of the doggo.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, so
you might want to mute yourself.
No.
Look, he has a very strong opinion about this issue, guys.
Yeah.
We should let the dog have a voice.
Yeah.
I know. Look, I'm all for,
hashtag let Waylon speak.
Anyway, so like I said, no, this is really good discussion. Like, Peter eventually wins the trivia. Fisk like slams his fist on the ground like 90s cartoon Spider-Man cartoon style and was like, he said what? And so basically he out that Boomerang and Peter are going to be attacked. So that at the back of the issue, the next issue box says many thanks to Steve Lieber on pencils and Rochelle Rosenberg on colors for the Front Superiors Foes reunion. Maybe it continues in the next issue. So like it's that tease. So like this was like the love letter to Superior Foes.
It felt like a coda, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because the original book ended with a somewhat kind of open note. I don't remember if it finished during Superior or if it finished like during Amazing, like the relaunch.
Yeah.
But like it was implied that Peter knocked out Boomerang at the end, like it's the Sopranos ending. And it felt very open-ended. I think that was by design as a joke, but like this felt more like an official coda. Like it's like the High School Musical "Where Are They Now" reunions.
Yeah, it's okay. It's like it's a fun coda, and it was also being done during the time that I think a lot of series that had ended were getting some kind of resolution. Which, as a Marvel fan, is a nice feeling.
It's very rare.
Yeah, it's very rare. So, like, 2000, 2018 was definitely like the year of the resolution. So
yeah, very much. Like it was very much everything that was open was suddenly closed in that year, and really you can tell that like all the long time runs that had started during 2018, that had been going on through 2018. Like once Cebulski came in, he's like, okay, we need to start wrapping some things up. We need to make a big push to really put some juice back into the publishing. And so it's one of those things that you're right. Superior Foes was such a highlight of the Superior era that I really, really enjoyed it. So we're going to jump into, I thought I'd go ahead and do like a recap of Trivial Pursuit Part 2. Just because, and then we can kind of give our overall thoughts. So it opens with the kangaroo spot, 8-Ball, which may or may not be Crazy 8's dad. Brothers Grimm, answer all.
We need a Mari episode of that. Sorry.
All like about to attack Peter and Fred because obviously there's been a hit. After a brief recap in Ramos's signature sketchy style, Peter is basically like, "I don't find you endearing." So Fred then tells him he better cover his ears because you're about to find me endearing. Because Sonic Boomerang, they fight their way out the bar. Meanwhile, Fisk is just dying laughing. Like he's getting the
time of his life.
He's thinking it's great, and then he's like, "Now I gotta go kiss some babies."
Well, I like that because it shows kind of just Fisk as like he's got like a double-sided coin. Like he's kind of like your archetypal corrupt politician because he's a kingpin, but there's also kind of a comedic side to that sort of archetype that Spencer's playing with there.
So, basically Peter's like, "Man, I'm fighting an arm with an arm tied behind my back because I don't want to reveal my secret identity." Scorcher then tries to fire a fist of flame, 90s style, at Peter Parker, but Fred jumps in his way and takes the hit.
Wow!
So,
again, he is the Kramer of their group.
Jerry, no.
Loyal till the end.
So,
regardless of being morally ambiguous.
Is Randy the George?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's Elaine?
Robertson JPEG. You guys aren't seriously thinking of doing this, are you?
So we have the liar commanding that they stop.
Smart.
Yes.
The only one that doesn't believe him is White Rabbit. She's like, "Oh, F this, he's bluffing." And she's about to shoot him. And right as she's about to shoot him, then Fred throws a bomberang and explodes half the bar. And
I think it's implied to just torch the whole place.
Yeah. So Pete and Fred have this heart-to-heart, and they're trying to, he's trying to understand Fred a little bit better. He talks about how he hightailed it to the old hideout with his old gang. We then cut back to another page with Steve Lieber artwork, and then it's revealed that there's a terminal error assumption system malfunction, and Tinkerer, he's been back to his old trick since Spidey 307. Basically, he's like, they can't sing, so like he gets faulty issues. He has issues with like LMDs being faulty, and even like there's one point where like Fred like sits there and has this really, really sad moment where he's crying on the shoulder of not Speed or Automatron Speed Demon. Look. To which he actually revealed that he was in fact cheating.
Yeah,
it's an 8-page. It's an 8-panel like gutter, like a standard like rectangle layout, and I think it's just like the way Lieber composes that panel, like the slow head movements, and then just looking over in disgust, and then throwing away the cards. Genius, like The verbal punchline is genius, but it's the motion that goes into those panels that makes it even better.
The way that Spencer like scripts the panels to where it lets the artist really emote. This is the second straight trade paperback that we've had that type of scene. Because you look at what the scene we were talking about last episode with Peter talking to Mary Jane.
As far as I know, he lets the artist kind of just he lets the artists kind of do what they want. Like I remember he was talking about the fight scene in ASM 812. He lets Otley just do whatever he wants, and he kind of writes around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very much, Peter then basically tells him, look, Sundays him and Randy always go down to do some improv, and like he basically invites Fred. Like Fred goes, I was gonna rob a bank on Sunday, but I can move some stuff around. Like, it's funny, and Peter kind of has this floating heads of guilt with Mary Jane, Aunt May.
Aunt May without eyebrows is terrifying. I thought she was Quicksilver.
Yeah, well,
it's God.
It's Ramos.
Issue. So we then cut back to Kingpin, who is pissed because he wants Boomerang in custody immediately. And then all of a sudden we see this, who is it be? Who could it be? Like Fisk starts freaking out. They like get the hell out of here. And so clearly the man called that we would eventually be known as Kindred is standing before him and talking with Fisk. And we did have a little scene where he sees Vanessa. Like Kindred knows what Kingpin's after with Boomerang, but the reader doesn't know yet and won't know for a little while. And basically, he's like, Kindred's like willing to allow Fisk to do his plan moving forward. And apparently, in the past, there was a moment where Kingpin knelt before the man called Kindred. And so
that was a big deal. Like when this issue came out, Kingpin bowing was a huge thing.
Well,
because he doesn't bow to anyone.
And it, honestly, even going back to read it 2 years later, it still holds that kind of like, oh wow, I didn't even.
It's the one
because you almost forget that happened.
Yeah,
right. It's one of those things that. Like that's what I appreciated, like us doing this, going through and reading it, basically kind of refreshing not only ourselves, but as we're starting to get to a sort of resolution, because in November there is going to be, looks like via covers, a direct confrontation between the two characters. So now by going back and reviewing these books the way we're doing it, it kind of lends it to where we're like, okay, we're reviewing these books as we go, and we're gonna. It's like a remedial course for the Spencer run.
Yeah,
and we're
retrospective midway.
Okay, we're like, because like I remember reading the Kingpin scene, but I remember mainly the thing that I remembered the most when thinking back upon it was that Kingpin just knelt. I kind of forgot the setup for that, which was, yes, there is a history there. There's something that happened that we don't know about yet. This is the one big nugget that hasn't really revealed itself yet, and so I'm kind of curious as to what that's going to be. And but this was a big deal. So I'll go around the horn. Adam, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on these two issues, and kind of give me what you think about
it? Well, for the most part, I liked it. It's all little nitpick things. Like I remember when we first got 6, and it was like, oh, Ramos is on it. I was like, oh man, like, I don't really dislike Ramos, but I was just kind of like tired of his stuff, like. Because he was a big part of Slot's run, And I was like, if this is really going to be a fresh start, I feel like it might be a good idea to kind of move away from that. But I do think that his art is pretty good here. I like those, sketchy flashback things that he does. I think those are actually pretty cool. I like the trivia night thing. When Peter's like, just killing it at trivia, it reminded me of when, a few years ago after Comic-Con, me and my friends did a Marvel trivia thing, and it was just like, oh, these questions are easy for the initiated, so it's like, oh, I've been there. That's cool to see. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. Like, it's just kind of. I think overall, I'd probably give this arc an A-.
Okay.
It's just very, it's good. It's a nice little, it's light, it's airy, it's pretty funny. Yeah. I think that's all I got, really.
Okay. Neil, what's your thoughts?
I think this is honestly one of my favorite arcs. If it had been a different artist, I would have given it as probably my favorite. Ramos kind of brings it down a bit, but this was right up my alley in terms of obscure villains, trivia night, in just the comedic payoff of that, and also even some light horror with Kindred, and again the Kingpin bowing was and still kind of is a huge deal. And also the Superior Foes ending, we'll call it, was fun. This was just a really fun arc after the serious kind of character study of Peter Parker in the last arc. This was just pure unadulterated. It's like getting sugar, right? You're just injecting pure sugar into your veins. And once for context for listeners, this is being recorded in August of 2020. Once Last Remains ends and that stuff has been resolved, I kind of want to see. I'm hoping that we get some kind of continuation of the Superior Foes stuff with Leiber and Rosenberg back on art. That would be just awesome to see, and a bit of a fun continuation. Bring back to the comedy. That's all I got.
What's your grade, Neil?
I'm gonna give this a flat A.
All right. So grade A. All right. Kelly, what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, pretty much everything that's already been said and what I've already said through your lovely recap.
Oh,
I thoroughly enjoy these two issues. I think they're a lot of fun. I'll be honest, I haven't reread them since they first came out in 2018 until today. And so it was refreshing to kind of go back to just a fun, lighthearted story that is a coda to Superior Foes, but also to me, that was the most fun that you've seen Peter in a long, long, long time. And then when you think back on it, it's holy crap, he's just having fun. And I enjoy seeing Peter have fun. And I don't know, like I said earlier, I was maybe it's just because I super associate him with my zodiac sign, and I was just he's hyper. It's 100% the way I would handle a situation where I was oh, I can win this. There's trivia about me, or trivia about something that I super know. Heck yeah, I'm the same way. So just seeing that is a lot of fun. I enjoy the way Spencer writes. I feel if this was newer, if I had just if this was back in 2018, I would have a lot more to say about how refreshing and fun and interesting it is. But of course, we've had him for a few years now, and it's consistent. And so kind of going back to it's this is normal. This is the current normal for Spidey, and it's great. But back then it wasn't. And so it was kind of the first time you were oh yeah, Like, you can have a funny issue and enjoy it and just enjoy the moment and enjoy the ride, and it's great. So I loved it. I give it a solid A between the 2 issues. There is room for improvement. It's definitely not like the most perfect thing, but it's fun. And that's really my main thing about reading a comic book. It's got to be fun. It's got to be enjoyable.
It was worth $2.99.
Exactly.
Yeah. Definitely. So I'm gonna go back to this view so that way everybody can see. I really, really enjoyed these 2 issues, even though I am on record. I am not the biggest Ramos fan of his art style. I enjoyed the kind of this type of issue can be put in any era of Spider-Man, and far too often it was all about, in the last several years, all about being fresh and new and boom and zag,
Shiny.
all and shiny,
Yeah.
ADD and written like it was written by someone with ADD. As someone that has ADD, I can understand. I mean, if you've watched the last episode, you probably saw me being ADD addled with the transitions and stuff. So I understand. So coming into this, like, I was like, all right, we're kind of getting some Fred stuff. This needs to kind of be addressed early on. And I really enjoyed the Peter and MJ interaction where they're like, it's a smash cut. It's Peter and Mary Jane making out. It's like, okay, this is telling you that Peter and Mary Jane are together. And so I'm like, all right, cool. Because when I first read this, it was in with the guided view on digital. And I was like, all right, yeah. I loved Fred's reaction to the 2 of them because, like, it was fun. Because, like, MJ would think he's fun. MJ, I don't know. I don't know through the context of the conversation if she realizes that he is in fact supervillain. But I mean, just the theater of the absurd. Only Peter Parker, in Peter Parker's world, can you have a situation where a supervillain moves in with you and you're Spider-Man. Like, that is the typical Parker look. So I enjoyed the Kingpin stuff. I enjoyed him being. I enjoy, as a fan of the '90s show, I enjoy Kingpin being a force of nature.
Right.
And even with this new status quo, he was a force of nature. So I really appreciate that as a reader, a longtime reader. I love the use of lame villains. I love the use of the bar with no name. I liked how, like, White Rabbit is the only one smart enough to see through Peter's BS. Because, like, I have a certain, like, so Gerard, good buddy of the show, host of Mayday Mondays, in his apartment, he has a few Marvel Legends, and he actually went and bought the White Rabbit Marvel Legend just because he goes, he has an affinity for, like, lame female villains. Like, he has a love affair with Delilah from the 90s, and because of the DeMatteis run of the 90s, I think you kind of get a love affair with White Rabbit. He has a lot of fun with that. So as a humor writer with Spencer, this is really, really well done. I love the references. I love the fact that this is not supposed to work. And just when you think it's about to, the Parker luck strikes. And this is what the Parker luck's all about.
And I appreciate that it wasn't like spent like back in the slot run. They would just go, "Oh, the Parker luck ruins everything once again." But it felt like more like Peter genuinely was having fun, and then like just automatic by some cruel sense of irony, he just having fun, and then just got taken away because Boomerang. Right. And it wasn't his fault; it was Boomerang's because Fred is an idiot and wouldn't get in line with Fisk, and so Boomerang ruined Peter's fun.
Yeah,
I mean, and also technically ruined his phone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, new phone. Who knows?
Stolen phone. That was a really good line. Like that's what the Fred answered. Stolen phone.
I don't usually like those hip and with it lines, but with Boomerang it makes me complete sense because he's that kind of schmuck who would do that.
Yeah.
He's Australian, so it'd be like Stone and Five. Who's they say?
Is he actually Australian? I think he just played in the Australian
I think
league.
so.
Yeah.
I know he's been written as an Aussie before.
So,
why would it be a sex thing?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Can I say actually that
I
appreciate.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Kelly.
So I too am giving this a grade of an A. So A's all around for this particular issue.
Well done, Spencer.
I do want to say.
So I think we've kind of exhausted that one. So we're going to jump over to issue 809.
808.
This
wait, no, 80. Is it 809? I don't. Yeah.
I don't. Okay, so I think the issue is the fact that like Legacy doesn't just like it's not an easy lineage into that new numbering. That it's really hard.
Yeah.
Thanks, previous writer.
Yeah.
Like if he had left at 800.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. That'd be easy.
Right. No, and that's like it bugs me so much. But at the same time, like to quote 80s Barbie, math is hard.
But so Marvel's numbering system, like when we get to the next, I don't know if it's the next episode that's hunted or the following.
I think it's 2 for now.
I think it's 2 episodes. So next episode is kind of very similar to this one. And then we get to Hunted, and then you get 17 point, and then eventually when we get to Last Remains, it's going to be like 48.
It's 50 to 55 at least. .lr.
Yeah, I'm like.
Well, it doesn't count in. I suppose it doesn't count in like the legacy numbering because it's not like an official part of.
It's the 0.1 stuff all over again, and it's something that's not his fault, but it really is annoying. Yeah. So, we are. I have the cover up. It is Legacy number 809. Okay. Spencer and Ramos are back again. Heist. This arc is called Heist, and this is part 1. Mm-hmm. We open with a big giant splash page of Peter Parker falling to his doom.
No.
Oh no.
It'd be like that sometimes.
I mean, it'd be.
Then get your club music out and be like,
get your Daft Punk out.
Because we then cut to a techno club. That's what I'm assuming it is, because reasons. We have a
just a nightclub.
Being on a Batman Beyond.
Being
no, I hope we don't crash.
So basically,
sorry guys.
Basically, there's a business opportunity between 2 characters, and it's revealed that they are that the female involved works for the Thieves Guild. Dun, dun, dun. So
wait,
we then cut back to Avengers Mansion, and we have Mr. McGill. He's an intern.
Yeah.
For Stark being shown around, and everybody's like, you have to, the dust accumulating on the glass cases, the Hall of Costumes, and then all of a sudden there's no costumes. Mm-hmm. We then cut to Smorgasburg in a not socially distanced 2018, where we have.
I think there's a portrait of Slott in here in this crowd.
Oh yeah, there is. There's Dan Slott.
I blocked that out of my memory.
With the Fantastic Four shirt.
And I read it an hour before we were supposed to start.
Yeah. So Dan Slott. Dan Slott, who lives in New York.
Never noticed that.
If we ever have Gerard on one of these shows, like this show, he'll have to tell his Dan Slott story. He has a Dan Slott story.
Oh no.
But anyway, we then go to we then kind of zoom in on MJ and Peter. Peter's like eating Fruity Pebbles with this ice cream.
It's a milkshake and it's an experience.
Yeah. Oh well, I am not ready for that experience.
It's a fancy thing that they found. I guess are they actually at Coney Island or just I can't remember.
It's in River State Park. It's in Brooklyn.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's an actual. I think this is an actual thing, not just something.
No, this is where I wish I had Bellator here because he could sit there and say yes because he's from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But so we have this conversation where it's Peter and Mary Jane kind of talking about about the fact that they're both not gainfully employed, except that Stark is still giving her a severance package. Peter kind of talks about, which is a good thing. But
real quick question: did they? I know they didn't explain it in Slot's Iron Man run. Did they ever explain in this run why she got let go? I don't remember off the top of my head.
Sorry, Zach.
Yeah, I think it's talked about a little bit. I think in the next issue.
Yeah.
But basically, I think she just, she basically quit.
She wasn't feeling it.
Yeah. So Peter puts on his Spider-Man mask on, has this conversation with Tony, which again, this is one of those annoying things that I'm like, Peter, Tony should know Peter's Spider-Man's point. I don't understand this.
Especially considering that he sees MJ right next to him.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny.
It's kind of humorous, but it's it's nothing like that. She's my business manager. Come on, Peter, you couldn't think about it. So we then cut to Stark Tower, earlier that day, and apparently the armory is down, inventory is down.
Real quick, before we move on, I do appreciate that they took continuity from the other books. They took Stark Unlimited Tower and not just the one that you see in the movies. They could have just easily done that, but they did the Stark Unlimited building from Slot's run. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I do too. I like that Spencer is trying to use not only past continuity but current continuity, which is good. So we then cut to your Fairfax, Virginia, where Cap's fighting a bunch of flag thugs.
Nukes, they're new clones, aren't they, from Coach's Cap run?
Yeah, I think I think so. It's actually a bit from Marvel continuity. Steve throws his mighty shield, because that's what Captain America does, and then all of a sudden his shield is missing. So we also cut to Thor fighting the Wrecking Crew, because that's what Thor does. And Mjolnir goes, "Wait, where did it go? Which one of you took my hammer?"
Yeah, this keeps happening to me.
Shane, where is it?
Look, Thor misplaces his hammer all the time.
Again, I also do appreciate that Thor points out, "Oh, this isn't Mjolnir," because at this point, Mjolnir still wasn't back at this point. So I appreciate that he's still using just random hammers that were made by dwarves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Pete then squinty-eyed says, "I'll move things around." And I love that, MJ's "So you're an Avenger now?" And he's like, "Nope, I hope not, because there's too many meetings." It's kind of like when you're part of the Spideydude Radio Network. There's a lot of meetings.
There are.
So Pete then kind of walks off, but then she goes, "Don't you hate how he's always doing that? Some things never change."
Sorry. It's a reaction I have. I'm sorry.
Okay, relationship drama, guys. Look at that. Wow.
So we then have, our antagonist going, "It's been a long time since we've been gathered. It's the Thieves Guild." So is it Odessa Drake is her name?
Yeah.
So Odessa Drake basically does this entire, there's this montage of various things getting stolen.
It's the manifesto.
Including Peter Parker's web shears. But then, just as Peter Parker, so we're finally back to where we were at the beginning of the issue, just as Peter Parker, who has spider powers, who could easily, avoid not dying.
By grabbing a wall.
Right.
By grabbing a wall and sliding, Black Cat shows up and saves his life. And then after she saves his life, she subsequently slices his face open.
Oh my god.
Look.
They have some unfinished business, folks.
Obviously.
So going back,
he deserved it for some reason.
The scenes where all the heroes are realizing all their stuff was getting stolen. I love that page where Ghost Rider's where's my car? And then Punisher goes into his armor, and all of his guns are gone. And he's oh, somebody's gonna pay.
All that was great. That's
I didn't like the Doctor Strange one just because I wasn't really a big fan of him being in space at the time. But again, a very effective use of continuity.
Yeah. Why does this keep happening to me? And I'm like, well, maybe.
Maybe you should start welding them onto your wrists.
Yeah.
So then, of course, we've ended that issue, and maybe let's get the thing to load. Come on. Sorry.
Is your dog? No,
No, internet issues, because
It's just computer issues. All right, so we got ASM number 9, aka ASM 810. We got Black Cat and Peter Parker fighting on the cover.
I really do like this cover.
It is a dynamic cover. So,
Anatomy is a little weird, but I do dig it. Like as choreography.
It's very cartoony, but it to me it works. I don't know.
Very effective shading.
Yeah, exactly. Like I really like the cover. I don't know. It's a good cover.
It is a good cover. So, Heist Part 2, same creative team. We open with a bunch of hand rejects that are trying to act like they're the hand, but they're really not. For some people, they lost their family car. For others, it's, they lost their arrows. Squirrel Girl lost one of her squirrels.
No, we lost Tippy Toe, the best squirrel.
The squirrel.
The squirrel. Yeah. So, we then
I said scroll.
We then get a brief recap of
all the Squirrel Girls squirrels are squirrels.
Yeah.
That's how she can talk to them.
Say that 10 times fast, guys.
Schoolgirl scrolls are scrolls. Schoolgirl scrolls are squirrels. Scrolls. Fuck.
So anyway, we then cut back to Black Cat. There's a brief montage of what's been going on with Black Cat throughout history, including her infamous Queenpin era, which she's reformed, and
they're eating each other's faces.
So, yeah, they are eating. Yeah, the way that.
Oh, a face eating contest. Start around the edges. If you go in the middle, it'll get messy.
Oh God.
So we then cut to basically they're having a conversation, and apparently when Peter was separated from Spider-Man in the previous arc, he showed up at her house for some attempted hijinks. So basically, Peter convinces Cat convinces Peter that hey, maybe we should team up.
Hey baby, I'm all spider now.
Oh man.
We then cut to reconnecting with an old friend, aka Carly Cooper,
aka the letter grade bringer downer.
Okay. As much as I'm having this automatic reaction to her, especially during this, I will not allow her to letter grade it down for me. I will be fair.
So we have this scene with MJ and Carly Cooper. Basically, Carly kind of gives her suggestion of, hey, there's something called the lookups. They have meetings for people just like her and MJ. And so MJ really, is kind of hesitant to do it, but she's like, all right, she'll think about it. We then get a brief scene of Felicia and her father being shown the entrance to the hideout of the Thieves Guild. Some exposition from Kat kind of explains what it is. And we then get Odessa Drake, aka the villainess from last issue. And so Kat basically says, you want to go get your stuff back? I'll get your stuff back. So we then cut to St. Joseph's Church. MJ very hesitant, but then we get to see MJ interact with Jarvis. This is the first time this has happened since the JMS New Avengers era.
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years since the last interaction. Then we get some pixelated faces because we don't know who they are. Star Tech basically ensures the anonymity plus a vapor that kind of leaves one with only a vague remembrance of specific details.
Okay, but what is Stark getting out of all of this? I have a question.
None of his kids coming back to haunt him.
It's one of those things. I feel like it's more. There's a guilt that Tony's had, and I'm maybe reading way too much into it, but I kind of feel like that's the only thing that Tony's getting. Plus, Tony would do anything for Jarvis. Let's face it.
That is true.
If Jarvis asks, something that's semi-reasonable, Tony's going to do it.
Okay, but also, Tony owes a lot to Jarvis. So it's not just, out of care. Jarvis is
also
owed.
Pepper's there.
Yeah.
He is owed this. But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I just don't trust billionaires, but
You
I just feel like there's something.
Don't trust billionaires.
I feel like there's a story there. There could be a story within this.
All of his friends just went, dude, you gotta give my friend some therapy. This shit's not good for them.
Yeah, like we've gone through way too much crap since the last 15 years we're publishing time. We need to have therapy. I mean, I do love
Yeah, I mean, fair.
Pepper's there.
Yeah.
Willie Lumpkin's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonky, aka Ned, if you're watching MC2 films.
Yep.
So, I don't.
Wait, did you just say MC2 instead of MCU?
MCU.
Wow.
I know tonight we're just trying to wish everything into existence, but that is another conversation for another time.
Man, all night long. So MJ is very hesitant. We then cut back to Black Cat and Peter kind of going through, and they finally get to the catacomb that has all this fun stuff. So looks like there's the Fantastic car, there's Ghost Rider's car, there's the Hall of Armors, there's Thor's hammer, Captain America's shield. I think there's Black Widow's gauntlets plus
the Nova helmet,
Iron Fist's mask.
Yeah, that was in there.
Yeah.
It's like they couldn't. Yep. I guess they had to steal something.
Look, what are you stealing from Danny Rand? You can steal his money, or his mask.
You can steal his arm. Just rip it right off and be done with it.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't know about that.
If it wasn't back in the 80s, they would just rip off his arm and then it'd be a cybernetic enhancement.
They apparently stole Wolverine's claws.
We can make him better. We have the technology.
At least with the
Netflix didn't.
At least with Squirrel Girl's little pet squirrel, they decided to put it in a
dog cage. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so Peter decides that he's going to put on Nova's helmet for reasons, and
the reason is it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, God, Peter, I don't understand you sometimes.
I love how Peter just puts on Nova's helmet immediately.
He's like, why not? He's just like, why not?
Okay.
Also,
here's my thing: is that I feel like it's just if you go. Peter is me in these entire issues on you see a thing and you're just gonna do it, and it's just fun.
Yeah, no, it's not wrong. So anyway, so just to wrap this one up, there's a brief argument between Kat and Peter, and then Odessa Drake shows up, and she's like, "Welcome home, to be continued." Next issue, apparently the cover was in fact stolen. So
I did like that little bit.
Yeah, it was cute. I enjoyed
something I just realized. Why does it matter if I get Tony has a complex about other people taking his stuff, but he can just build more armors. Thor can just get more hammers.
Yeah, no, it's not wrong. It's not wrong at all. So we got then to issue 10, legacy number 811. This is the last issue of this episode. So and then we'll kind of give our thoughts on the overall arc. So apparently the cover was stolen, which I actually really like this cover. I think it's really fun.
This felt like editorial just coming together and saying, "Hey, let's have some fun.
Let's look into this." Yeah, and so
it was refreshing for the time, and it's refreshing now.
Yeah, it's a cover that you don't. It's something you don't see every day, and it fits the tone of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, obviously, we pick up directly where we left off last particular issue, and same exact creative team of Spencer and Ramos. I think the inker though is different with the Bedini. Bedini's the other penciler. I'm sorry. So, I'm sorry, we didn't pick up right where we left off. We picked up right during the meeting with Mary Jane. She's the guest, and her head's pixelated, and they're sitting there talking, and she's just sitting there kind of observing everything, but then she kind of starts speaking up. We then cut back to where we picked up and left off last issue, and so basically, Kat is not happy. She's like, look, you guys stole stuff that's like that people need. Like this could save lives. This is not, this is not jewelry. This is not things. It's not. These are things that actually help and protect people. Cutting back to Mary Jane, she's talking about her past history of worrying about Peter, worrying that her life was in danger. We even get a little reference to ASM 300, and then we get a little cut to a not oddly drawn panel from issue number 1 of this run.
It's a little awkward, if you ask me.
What's that?
It was a little awkward. Like they tried to recreate it perfectly,
Yeah.
but it kind of looks awkward because the original page is as impactful as it was kind of a little awkwardly framed.
Yeah.
So them trying to recreate it detail for detail is kind of weird.
I do like how they frame Mary Jane's head in the last panel of that page where she's in the bottom left corner and she's kind of looking up at the memory, and I just like that little visual cue.
Oh yeah.
So cut back to big punchy run between Peter and the Not Hand, aka the Assassin's Guild.
Yeah.
So this is back and forth. Mary Jane continues to talk about how she lost her job over some complicated issues.
Mm.
Basically, she got crossways with Stark, and she's wondering out loud. And this is something that Mary Jane's wondered in the past, where maybe she should be with somebody like him that's like a costume adventurer. We then go to a few minutes later where it's Jarvis and Mary Jane, and Jarvis basically tells Mary Jane that she is in fact indispensable. So
yes. Also, random fact, as you were saying that, I just realized it was Jarvis is kindred.
Oh no.
Figured out the mystery. Anyway, go on.
No. Anyway,
All right.
so, continuing with the fight,
Oh, no.
Medusa Drake's like, you would be so heartbroken. Your father would be so heartbroken. So Peter starts grabbing random crap. Tries to put on Iron Man's helmet, tries the Eye of Agamotto, using the phrase.
I feel this energy.
All of this is all of this is accurate.
The energy.
Meanwhile, there's something that Peter sees in this mound of stuff. We then cut back to Reed Richards and Tony Stark with all the.
This is my favorite part of the issue. Just
all the heroes going. We all lost something today. And then Ms. Marvel's like, so they took my bag because they really can't take my powers. So they took my phone and it just pinged.
Yay! Yeah.
And there's that panel of Reed and Tony just looking away in absolute shame.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
I have a story that I will say during my thoughts that are very similar to Miss Marvel's. And it's a lovely Dragon Con story that I think people need since there is no Dragon Con this year. But yeah, no, that is a legit that is life-saving. And the fact they didn't think of that is just sad. Those boomers, man.
So basically, thanks to shenanigans,
Sorry.
basically, I love Peter's line. He's like, "You might want to table your D&D campaign." He sings about a million angry superheroes about to show up, and she's like, "Oh, Spider-Man, I can't believe you would think of a bluff like that would work." And then her rolling her eyes, she's like, "Thieves Guild vanish," and so apparently they still got what they wanted. Basically, there was a bunch of thieves that were depositing money that they had robbed a bank. So, needless to say, big giant explosion happens. Half the Marvel Universe shows up, and Peter's like, "This isn't what it looks like."
And neither is this.
That's about a cat, and neither is this. So then we cut back to a few minutes later. It's on the rooftop, and they're talking. And so Kat's like, "I'm seeing someone," and Peter's like, "Awesome, me too," because Peter's super awesome. And like they're really, this heart to heart is very important because she literally goes, I don't remember you. I don't remember who you are under that mask. And Kat, justifiably so, says, I'm not just everybody. We were together, dude. Like, I can't even remember what your face looks like, what your name is.
Yeah.
Like, it's a part of me that's been ripped away. So, in a really great panel where Peter kind of looks off and looks at Black Cat, and she's kind of looking down forlornly.
Excellent shading up on Ramos's part, by the way, of that panel.
Yeah.
The lighting is amazing.
Yeah.
The lighting's really well done. And so finally he goes, "Hey Felicia, my name's Pete." And so Felicia just has these tears in her eyes because she in fact remembers who Peter Parker is.
Yeah.
So
Comfy hug.
It's, to me, it helps end a lot of pain with Felicia that we had felt throughout Slot's run, like throughout Slot's run.
Especially during like the Dark Reign Brand New Day era where Peter was like kind of, I don't want to say simping after her, but
oh god, yeah, the whole, we'll get into that in a second, but
we
then come back to Peter and Mary Jane. Peter's back at his apartment. And he's like, look, I told Felicia who I am, and she's like, I'm not jealous. I know I'm indispensable. We then cut to a graveyard with it looks like it's like in the bayou, kind of, because like it looks like that's on stilts, and so we then get like her, she doesn't deserve this.
Magic mirror.
Yeah, for their Kindred, and he's pissed, and he's like, it'll just be me and you. To be continued in the next trade paperback, because
that's how we're doing this review show.
Yes. I mean,
so that's the end of our issue. What is I can't believe I left the grade thing out there. My bad. So all right, so we're gonna let's talk 809 through 810 and 811. I will start with Kelly because I ended with Kelly last time.
Okay. I mean, I'll go ahead and just say my grade for these three. Like for this little story arc, it's a B, and I'm knocking a letter grade down mostly because it's really not a complete Spider-Man story. But I like the Spider-Man elements in it, and I like the fact that it is a good, the fact that we have that B story with therapy. It's a great therapy session for not just MJ's character, but Felicia's character after the events that they had to kind of go through for a decade. It kind of helps bring them to a clean slate for Spencer's run. And I thank him for that. Looking back on it now, I'm just kind of like, there's so much with MJ that I don't fully like, and I don't fully like I prefer the way Felicia got handled because it started with her being angry, which we all were making fun of at the time, to her actually getting what she needed. And it even kind of helped bridge that gap of like, when everyone was like, oh my God, why did she go crazy? There's literally parts of her past and her personality like that help mold her and make her who she is. It's gone. And I think that would make anybody go crazy. So the fact that we get that resolution is really great. It's not fully a Spider-Man story, I guess. Like it's definitely an Avenger story. And it's not even the best Avenger story. It's almost like the B story took more precedence in Spencer's writing than the main story. And it kind of does tip your hat, like it tips his hat to what he winds up doing like right now with Kindred, where there's so many misdirections and sides, like random side stories we know that are eventually going to come together, but you're almost confused on what the main story is supposed to be. And then just to end my discussion on this, are you trying to say that Kindred went to Mardi Gras? Is that Was he in New Orleans? Like, was he having some fun? Like,
party hardy. That's party hardy right there.
I would have way too much fun with that because I grew up going to New Orleans. So I could sit there and
I mean, he could honestly. Kindred just could be from Florida.
He could be, like, definitely. So I don't.
He looks like it. He looks like Florida man. Kindred is Florida man.
The ultimate Florida man.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, that'll work.
Sorry, guys.
No, you're good. No,
I mean, Carly was just in New Orleans.
Yeah, well, and that's, again, going back and rereading these issues. Like, there's people that there's several theories that are going around about Kindred. Like, is he Harley Cooper? Is he, all these things? Is it he this whole time? We don't know.
Right.
Yeah, well, I will admit, I think like Carly coming back in this felt awkward, and she was definitely shoehorned in to get into the therapy sessions. And then I will say that people that are like going back and rereading all of Spencer's run and trying to connect things, they do have a good point that this does kind of drop off for a while, and we don't really get any kind of resolution or any kind of like further discussion, and it helps bring in a new slate. So this could be a precursor to what Kindred is for Peter in, healing brand new day. But the thing is that I don't necessarily feel like that's the case. I think that this is honestly probably the first misdirection for Kindred in that situation. And let's be fair, everyone is going I feel like everyone's going insane. Everyone is literally ancient aliens guy trying to find a thread right now versus like the best part of this is just like, let's just be along for the ride, because you're going to, I know this in my bones. You're
gonna be disappointed.
You're gonna be disappointed when you find out who it is. You're gonna be disappointed. But the thing is that, will the story be good and satisfying? Probably. So just enjoy the ride. We'll find out who Kindred is when we find out. It's such a crazy, the whole thing has become so crazy, and it's so funny that like going back to reread these 2 years ago, I would have never realized we'd be where we are now, over analyzing issues like this to figure out who Kindred is. It's crazy.
I don't disagree at all. It's one of those things where Kindred, like, who is Kindred is like, really, we have a whole section of our Discord that's solely devoted to who is Kindred. So with that, you said you gave it a B?
A B, yeah. And the reason, literally, I would give it the story an A because it's fun. It like I said, it gives you closure on things that Slott kind of didn't close. And kind of it helps heal some wounds with Brand New Day, and it's a good overarching thing. However, it is just not, to me, a Spider-Man story. It is a Marvel Universe story. It is an Avengers story.
It is the most big time era story of Spencer's run.
Yeah. It's
in some ways that's a good thing, I'd argue, but
no, and well, for this it is a good thing, like, because the thing is this isn't the closures and everything that's being, the healing that is happening for other characters is not for Peter, and that is a good thing, because one of the major things to me about like what makes Spider-Man so unique is his world and the world building that happens, within Spider-Man. His side characters matter just as much as he does. And so it's good that they're getting these, like characters like Felicia are getting these these moments to heal and to have a chapter close so they can actually grow and move on. And that's a good thing. This isn't a story of, it's just, this isn't Peter's story, and that's fine. But it's more, to me, it less it, because of the fact that he's such a side character in his own book, it takes me out of it a little bit. I will say that like I enjoy Miss Marvel a lot in this because she is
the MVP
the most level-headed of all of them in this entire situation. Of hey, they took my phone. I could. There's an app for that. Because that like at Dragon Con, I like put my phone down, saw friends, ran over to them, came back, phone is missing. Which turns out it was someone saw my phone when I ran off and went, oh, someone lost their phone. I'll turn it into Lost and Found. But then they got lost trying to find Lost and Found while I had to find my iPhone. So we were convinced someone stole it. I went to a friend's room to use their laptop to do it, and they were having a party, and I wound up with a drunk caravan. So quite not unlike what happened in this comic book. Of a big giant group went to go find lost shit. And we did, and it was great. There was this random girl, I don't know her name. When I got my phone, she started twerking. It was, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Dragon Con.
It's Dragon Con, guys. All right, Neil.
So I gave it a B+. Yeah, kind of in the middle between Adam and Kelly. Adam hasn't given his grade yet, but it says an A in the chat, so.
Spoilers.
I'm going off.
Spoilers.
Oh no, we're ruined.
It's fine.
I think plot-wise, it's the one that kind of strains your patience the most, and it's still an engaging read. But like compared to like Back to Basics or Trivia Night, where like you're just completely engaged, this one kind of felt like it took me out for a bit, like where it felt like I was spending too much time on recapping.
Yeah.
And then you got like Carly coming back in, and I'm not one of those people who's gonna like take a letter grade off just because of her presence. I think that's somewhat reductionist if they use her effectively. That said, that she felt more like a plot device in this issue, rather than later.
Yeah.
I think the best way to put it is like the character beats are on point. Peter and Felicia felt like a very good return to form with their dynamic, because up until now we'd only had like one issue where they interacted and one where he contemplated interacting with her.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about the MJ bit, but I do like the idea that she's reassuring herself rather than like Peter having to do like a big grand gesture or like one of the lookups like reassuring her, but she reassures herself. I like that idea of it's like a sort of subtextual self-confidence bit, and I appreciated that.
To me, it's almost like, because I have some issues in the beginning of Spencer's run with the characterization of MJ, and I think the thing is he was trying to figure out how to take Slot's MJ and bring her back to being MJ. And this is one of those issues that really helps with that, because it kind of is like she always had that self-confidence, and it's very clear that it was lost during Brand New Day, and now it's back.
Yeah, and this is where it feels like she regained like her character, I guess. Like you said, the first couple of issues, she's more there to like reassure the reader, hey, we're bringing back the things you like. Here's MJ. They're making out, but she doesn't really do a whole lot in the arc. I don't want to say she's eye candy for that first arc, but she doesn't really have a whole like big presence.
Yeah,
right.
Well,
but this is where they took.
Sorry, I was just gonna say it was just even her lines in that is just very. To me, it's not MJ, and it almost feels shaky because she kind of feels like girlfriend number one.
Yeah, I was gonna say she kind of feels like she reads sort of like your average comic book love interest.
Yeah.
In that first arc, which is fine, I guess, but it's not really like what I would want to see long term for MJ. But like as a stepping stone to this arc, it works much better in context. Exactly. And then you get to this arc where everything kind of falls together, and MJ kind of has her we'll call it quarter life crisis.
Quarter life crisis for the 15th time.
Yeah.
Listen, yeah, because let's face it, Peter has a quarter life crisis every 5 years.
Yeah.
He has one every 10 minutes.
When you're stuck at 28 for 30 years, I think that's fair, man.
Like one day she and Carly just go out for coffee and Carly's like, so what's on your mind? And MJ just grabs her by the collar. I've been 28 for the past 15 years. Help me, woman. I need purpose.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought plot wise it was a little hard to follow. Like Kelly said, it felt more like an Avengers. Like if this is like a one shot where like the Avengers work together and Peter just kind of happened to save the day by accident by activating Miss Marvel's phone, I think that would have been a much better. But like as far as character beats go, I still enjoyed it. I give it a B+ for a reason. Ramos knocks it down a couple points, but I liked Michelle Bandini. I pointed this out when I did my last audio review of ASM of this arc, that like using two different artists to switch between perspectives was a nice choice. Even though it smells kind of lazy on the surface, it works on a perspective level, and I respect that as an artist.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy the art direction for the issue.
No, I do too. I think it's one of those better parts of the issue. I'll get to that in a minute when I give my thoughts. But all right, so it's already
great. Grade B+.
Grade is in fact
an A.
An A.
An A.
I gave it an A. I don't know. I just enjoyed it a lot. I had a lot of fun reading it. I like all the Avengers members, reactions to losing their stuff. I like Peter and MJ on a date. I want to see more of that.
Sorry.
I think Ramos's art was better here.
Yeah.
I like, especially like when he's talking to Felicia at the end. I think that's like peak Ramos. I think.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good. Yeah, I like all the character stuff.
Hi, puppy.
Carly doesn't really bother me because I don't care about her that much. I mean, I can see how she's basically like a plot device to get Mary Jane into group therapy, but I mean, it doesn't really bother me that much. I think
Alcoholics Anonymous.
It just all read pretty well to me. I just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
In ways that I maybe had like some problems with actually the trivia night stuff. Like something about this it hit a little different, and I do like that, for some reason, the Avengers turned to Spider-Man to solve this problem for them. It's just like, all right.
Well, you know more thieves than anybody else, so let's, we'll settle the problem.
Yeah.
So, just to kind of go off of what was already been said, I give this a B+. Ramos's art is pretty inconsistent throughout this entire arc, but I enjoyed it for what it was. This doesn't feel like I talked about how it kind of felt like Deadline Ramos sometimes, like we were talking a little bit last issue, where if it's a shorter time frame and he has time to kind of be a little more detailed. This one kind of feels a little rushed comparatively, but then you get to that last page with Black Cat, and it's just really, really, it's just really good. It's some of Ramos's best work.
Yeah.
I remember when I was first reading this, and my opinion was this is the Nick Spencer Redemption Spider-Man tour.
Yeah.
And Black Cat, probably out of every character post Brand New or One More Day, is probably outside of Mary Jane, is probably the one that had the most character assassination. And I'm not even blaming Slott for that entirely.
That felt more Kelly and Guggenheim.
Kelly and Guggenheim miswrote her. Kelly basically was like, she's just all about sex.
Sex with the mask on, guys. She's a thought.
It's just one of those. I mean, this is the same group of writers that thought it's a good idea to have Black Cat in a milk bath.
Oof.
Well, that was just slot.
I don't care. I don't care if it was Slot or Kelly or
I love
who
the
it
way
was.
Slack's like, I don't
I
care.
don't
Shut up.
care. It's still
The principle of the thing.
misogynistic writing. It's bad. It's
Yeah.
not. I mean,
Well,
the queen could have making her okay. If you're going to make her a villainess, fine. In some ways, on the surface, this should be by sweeping it under the rug and saying, "All right, we're just moving on."
Yeah.
90% of the time, I would have a problem with it, but because it's a character that I actually care about, and I care about what they've done to her and Mary Jane, it felt like this arc really was about taking this dangling thread with Black Cat. There's a list of people that should know that Peter is Spider-Man. Venom,
Norman,
Black Cat, Norman, Harry, and then on the Peter side of life, Mary Jane and Aunt May.
Yeah,
I don't even have a problem with Otto knowing that Peter's Spider-Man.
But I think that was the entire point of it. Like of these three issues though, is to show you, hey, that's why this felt so wrong. That's why, which I think it is kind of answering. It's kind of trying to help connect the story and make the story work, and honoring all past iterations without being disrespectful.
Yeah.
Regardless if you agree with it or not, and I think that's really what Nick Spencer was doing, because this is kind of the first story that I really came in and I was like, you know what, he really honestly is trying. He is trying to do exactly what I think any Spider-Man writer should, which is make stories your own, but don't disrespect the past. And he has almost this entire time taken things that people really didn't like and somehow made retcon them or figured out a way. Well, not without retconning, but figuring out a way to make them work. And this is kind of one of those things with Felicia, because it's so clear. Hey, she's been going crazy because she couldn't remember these things because they were taken from her, which is a sin of Brand New Day, which results in Kindred.
Things where they wanted to go so back to basics with Peter, and the mind wipe and the explanation of it and omit and all of that yada yada etc. Because let's face it, for the first time in a long time, the characters are writing the stories, and with Nick Spencer, it's the characters driving the plot, not the plot driving the characters. And that's been one of my biggest criticisms of Spider-Man for the last 10 years. Before this, from 2007 on, it was everything driven by the plot, no matter what. The plot above all. And even when longtime readers or people that have like Neil that have gone back and read those books, because I know the Brand New Day era was when you started reading. But when you go back and read everything before that, because there's a lot of people, especially with things like Marvel Unlimited or like Comixology Unlimited, that you have those access to all this library.
Yeah.
Touch of your fingers, and so you can go back and read all these books. If it doesn't ring true, then it's not a good story. It might be a good story if you could, for another character. The stuff with Volume 4 might have been an okay, Tony Stark or a Nick Fury type story. It's not a good Spider-Man story. And so it's refreshing to have the characters driving everything through. And even with this big bad, looming. And here's the thing. We're not going to see Kindred for a few issues, especially because we're building towards this Kraven story. But I also appreciate the fact that Nick Spencer took a piece of what Zdarsky did, and that's what's going to be we're going to cover that next episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited about. That's why I gave it a B+. Like it's a very nerdy, nitpicky story in some aspects, but it's one that needed to happen.
Yeah.
This scepter of Felicia not knowing Peter's Spider-Man. Yes, Peter explained it to him that it was Otto, or explained it to her that it was Otto. But saying it as Spider-Man,
there's only so much that saying things can do.
Well, saying it as Spider-Man comes across as an excuse, but knowing that it's Peter Parker saying it as Spider-Man, there's a sense of understanding that Felicia didn't have. It's having like 3/4 of the puzzle done, but there's a big chunk of the puzzle that you can't see the full picture of why it's a big deal that Otto stole my brain for.
But I mean, there's also the whole issue with Felicia on. She knows she knew it at one point, and then it was, in her own words, in this script, is taken from me. It was literally the information, and that's the thing too. Like when dealing with this kindred stuff, and I think that this is stuff that I know Spencer is thinking about, that I don't think anybody else, as we're like all trying to figure out who kindred is, that you're actually fully thinking about. Is there were so many people within Peter's life. Information was stolen, like it was taken away from, and that is a big problem, because like in terms of just like it's almost like the butterfly effect and all this other stuff. Like it's just, it creates these gaps, and the universe has to try and heal these gaps. How is it going to heal these gaps?
Right.
It's not right. Yeah.
One of the things that I feel like that Spencer's done with this run so far, in the issues that we've covered, is that there's consequences to Peter's actions. Before, it didn't feel like that there was consequences. It felt like it's just actions that happen because plot demands it.
Yeah.
It's not organic. It's not something that builds upon what previously was been established. It's just we're gonna do stuff for the sake of doing stuff because that's what makes sense to us.
Exactly.
And that's where I feel like this kindred story, this meta arc, is trying to build. Look, Cebulski, I feel, comes in with a fresh set of eyes and says, "Look, I've watched, he's probably watched YouTube videos and things like that. Like every single YouTube star that's covered Spider-Man or that's done these things with Spider-Man, whether it's podcasts or YouTube or Facebook or whatever, brand new or One More Day is a scepter that looms over the book.
Yeah.
And by not addressing it, by saying this is what we're going to do, because let's face it, Alonso himself was actively involved in the planning of that because he was the editor of the Spider-Man books. So he felt like it's a genius idea. We're going to move forward. People are going to forget. Well, guess what? People haven't forgotten how bad that is.
Well,
Exhibit A, maximum clonage.
I do love how like they said like, oh, people are just stupid. Well, they'll forget about it, I guess.
Oh no, I remember being at the panel. I remember being at the panel in 2011 in San Diego at the panel. It was the Ultimate Spider-Man panel where they were revealing that Miles was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And somebody brought up to Axel Alonso because they didn't get a chance to do it at the Amazing Spider-Man panel because half of it was stuff that Steve Wacker edits, and I say stuff. Normally it's the other S word, but I'm trying not to bleep myself. Because that's basically what those panels became. It was like 5 minutes of, hey, we're talking about Spider-Man. Here's Dan Slott, phoning it in or videoing it in, and then
I actually thought that was the S word. Sorry.
Not intentionally, but yeah.
It's one of them. Brad, Zach is. You can censor that one.
But needless to say, it's one of those things where I'm just happy that things that are lingering, it's like Spencer basically said, okay, I need to address these in the first 12 or so issues. and then while building the world of Spider-Man that I want to build. And so I really appreciated the level of care that's taken not only to Felicia, but I appreciate that they're actually trying to do something with Carly that's not love interest or super sleuth. It's
I don't want to say Mary Sue because that's been driven into the ground, but
it's with Carly, it's always been she's love interest number 1. And
love interest number 3.
Yeah, love interest number 1, number 3, number 5. And then it's also, she is so much smarter. She's so smart. She's so great, Peter.
You should date her.
You should date her, Peter. And it was like so contrived because it didn't fit with having Mary Jane say that. I'm sorry. Did not make any sense.
It was grating.
It was grating, but the reason it was grating is that it doesn't make sense for MJ's character.
Because we know because we knew the writers were basically just like using the characters as their mouthpiece. Like, I want the plot to go this way, so I will make the characters say what I need them to say. Click, clack, click, clack. Bam! The plot comes together.
The plot above all else. And I hate that Paul wasn't on this episode because I would like to hear his thoughts on that. But I remember reading that issue of Sensational Spider-Man before the big reset, where it's basically the Black Cat Spotlight issue by Roberto Casa. And I remember saying that's a really great Black Cat story. Well, these 3 issues are the best Black Cat story we've got since that issue. And so I really appreciate it. But I honestly love the idea of there is so much on the surface trauma with being in the Marvel universe. I mean, the world was almost about to end 3 or 4 times, and reading it through this pandemic and seeing how much strife and pain that particular thing has caused here in 2020.
It puts it in perspective a lot of things.
It really does. It's like, okay, we need a lot of therapy.
Well, also, Corona Motors.
I didn't want to make that joke, but
I was trying not to make.
I'm here. Joke. Sorry, guys. I had to do it. I saw the opening.
Where's your box of wine?
I don't drink during recording.
So
anymore. Sorry.
So all that being said, for the last segment of the episode, I've talked about it, but I am going to bring it back.
Bring it back.
And it's not really bringing it back. It's bringing it forth. It's recommendations. Okay. So
recommendations.
I'm going to go around the horn. I'm going to start with Adam, then Neil, then Kelly. Adam, do you have any recommendations for this episode?
Like anything?
Yeah. Okay, so here's the rules of recommendations. There are no rules. Okay, you can in terms of you can recommend something that's like somewhat family friendly. Like, don't recommend the Rule 34 stuff. But
yeah,
like comics or movies or
comics,
like entertainment that you would have.
Okay.
So is there anything that boom that people need to know about that it instantly pops in your head that's like, hey, I need to tell people about this show or about this movie or about.
Let's see. I really enjoyed Dark on Netflix, the German show. It's like my pretentious opinion is it's like, and this isn't like a dig at people who are fans of this other show, but it's like if Stranger Things were for adults a little bit more because like it's very cerebral, and it just you watch this thing and there's all these twists and turns and all these things happen, and I was just really impressed with it. It's 3 seasons. The 3rd season just came out, concluded it. I think it's like 20-ish episodes. I'd say it's good. It's good watching material.
Well, there you go. Especially if you're quarantined and you need something to binge, check out Dark on Netflix. Neil,
this is a comic. We're allowed to talk about the distinguished competition, correct?
you can talk about DC. It's fine. I'm not a host that sits there and says no DC,
no company wars in this
exactly
podcast.
This house.
So a comic I'm reading right now that I seriously recommend everyone should get is Far Sector by N.K. Jemisin and Jamal Campbell. It's part of DC's Young Animal imprint. It's the only one still going because it's the only one with a set amount of issues. And it's basically imagine someone who looks like Janelle Monáe as a Green Lantern, and so it's essentially like a Dyson, like an an exverted Dyson sphere. And it talks about like free will and how we comprehend emotions and how we comprehend translation to like the idea of the human condition being digitally converted. I thought that was sort of a weird but interesting premise, and so far it's blown me away both artistically and writing wise. I'm hoping it gets like a hardcover or like a deluxe edition or an absolute edition, because it's one of those books I think that deserves it so far. It hasn't finished yet, and it's on a bi-monthly schedule now, but I really recommend you guys check it out if you have the extra cash.
There you go. Kelly, hey, Spider Girl. I didn't know you.
Wow.
This is my recommendation: is go to Marvel Unlimited and actually hold on. Sorry,
it's not working.
I tried, but that plastic, my hard shell, just it's a little too much. But
we need to get you like a mic that you can put inside the hard shell. Like,
then I would never ever take the mask off. But so I it is 2020. But I would say go to Marvel Unlimited, go reread Spider-Girl, obviously all of MC2. Go binge Mayday Mondays here on the Spideydude Network. And that's it.
It's funny because you and I were thinking the exact same thing. I'll tell you, I literally went and picked up Spider-Girl Complete Collection Volume 1. That's one of my recommendations. My second recommendation is Spider-Girl The Complete Collection Volume 2.
If only Volume 3 was already out, because it would be out this week. It would literally be coming out Tuesday. We would have it in our hands this Tuesday. And
I know it really is a bummer. There was a Volume 3, but thanks to the Ronas or COVID-19, let's call it COVID-19,
it's
so that
COVID-19.
YouTube doesn't try to take us down.
Right.
We'll take it down for that word too, by the way. But yeah,
I think it's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, but definitely recommend these two trades. They are available on Amazon. This trade is I think like $25. The cover price is $40.
The first one actually I think was on Amazon for about $15.99 last time I saw it. The second one's the $25.99.
Yeah, so, okay, this literally has 15 issues, plus the half issue, plus the annual, which is a double-sized issue, and What If 105. Plus you have special features that are included into this. This is a very, very comprehensive book. Yeah. Obviously, if you don't want to pay that for that, I really encourage you to pick it up if you're looking to get in Spider-Girl. But, like Kelly said, Marvel Unlimited is, for the value, one of the best values you can find. That's my third recommendation. I'm going to second Kelly's recommendation, because not only do you get the entire MC2 line, you get every issue of Amazing Spider-Man. You get every issue of Fantastic Four. Every issue of X-Men. All these that have been collected digitally, you can get. Now, I say Amazing Spider-Man. So if you're looking for spectacular or web or sensational, those are not all completely
and some of the X-Men and Fantastic Four stuff is also still missing. I know that they're supposedly supposed to be doing, like, putting it on there, but they've also been saying that for 5 years, and it's been up since Marvel Unlimited started Q1 of 2010, because it was like basically towards Q2 of 2010, because it was starting towards my finals, my first spring semester of college. And I remember that because one of the main things that they were advertising at that time was all of MC2 and a particular spectacular Spider-Girl being exclusive to Marvel Unlimited.
Yep.
So I had everybody had to sign up. But yeah, anyway, it's...
And my final recommendation, I just lifted my arms and you can kind of see this.
Yes.
Is your friendly neighborhood Spideydude. If you would like a shirt, we are going to try to make a design. I haven't finalized the design. This is the first one. This is for me. Sarah made it for me. It's a prototype. If you want a shirt, let us know. We will accommodate. Of course, you can go to Spidey-dude.com. You can interact on the actual website. You can go to the Spideydude Network at Spideydude Network on Instagram. Our Twitter feed, Spideydude Radio Network, or at Spideydude Radio. And then, of course, at Spideydude Radio Network which is liked by Ron Friends, folks.
Suspicious timing, Zach. I feel like this was planned. This was secretly planned.
Not planned. I promise you. So that was just great placement of when I put that up. But you can go to Spideydude.com or Spidey-dude.com. Every one of these links are on the top right-hand corner of the page, also on the top bar of the page. I am trying to get everything on the mobile version. So if you're using your phone right now, the links aren't showing up. I'm trying to fix that. I may have to temporarily take the app that I'm using for the mobile stuff down for a little bit, just because it's not working right. But be sure to follow us on our social medias. The phone number, if you want to leave us a voicemail, is 818-925-6631. The email address, you can write in at SpideyDudeRadioNetwork@gmail.com. That's our email address for the network. Be sure to put what you're talking about in the subject of the email. We will read them on the air when we get them. So I'm really, really, really excited about this episode. Guys, I really appreciate you guys being back on. I really enjoyed it. I hate that we couldn't have Brian and Paul on, and Greg. But they will probably be a part of a future episode. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe, Neil, this video on YouTube. And, of course, you can find our show.
That was a call-out post.
Apparently. Just you, Neil. Like, share, and subscribe, Neil.
Neil's made fun of me in the past when I've made that phrase. But you can also
Zach, now you got me on the Philip DeFranco train. Now remember, guys, if you like this video, you gotta hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to make sure you get notifications for the site, and go hit our Patreon.
Be sure to let us know if you like things, what you didn't like, what you like. Let us know if you want to get a T-shirt. We will get some T-shirts made and put them out that are for Spidey dudes. So if you've got an idea, definitely let us know. I will credit you with the idea if you give us a good enough idea. I do want to give a shout out to Hobo Goblin from our front page right quick, because while I'm thinking about ideas, he kind of gave the idea of the forgotten times or something like that in an email.
Okay.
And I was kind of thinking along the same line of the Forgotten Era. So our new show, that's our history show, is going to be the Forgotten Era, covering that time between the Clone Saga and the reboot. And it's going to be the continuation, spiritual continuation of sorts, of Clone Saga Chronicles. So if you're a fan of CSC, you want to hear us talk about more 90s goodness, definitely check out Mayday Mondays and coming in 2021. The Forgotten Era. Also, be sure to check out Spectacular Radio on the network as well. And then if you like Clone Saga stuff, even though I made fun of it tonight, go to Clone Saga Chronicles. So Spideydude.com/Clone Saga Chronicles. So I'm really, really excited. Hopefully by the time this video is released, I'll have some of the issues with Spotify fixed. But mainly the issue is that only new episodes are showing up on Spotify, but not the old ones.
Well, I think it's probably an upload situation. But
yeah, so I've got to email with them and talk with them. Also, hopefully by the time this episode comes out, I'll have fixed all of our covers. So when you actually click on an episode, the covers for the episode will show up.
Yay!
Right covers. So I'm hoping that will fix and alleviate some of the problems we've had. But stay tuned on that. I'll let everybody know. And I'm really, really excited about our graphics, about our stuff. And big shout out on our banner, of course, again to our good friend Chi-Town Spidey. He helped us. He hooked us up and helped us out.
Yay.
So, like I say, this has been the Spideydude Experience, episode 2. We'll see you next time when we cover the next 5 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, which will be 812 through 817. 817, yeah. So we'll cover everything up to the beginning of Hunted, and I'm pretty sure that we're gonna have to split Hunted in 2.
Yeah.
To keep it under the 2-hour mark. Otherwise, it's gonna be a long episode.
I mean, it could be a very special episode, and just
it could be a very because it is an event. So I kind of feel like Hunted and Last Remains are going to be like these big smorgasbord episodes. English is still language, folks. So fine. Looking forward to the next episode. We'll see you next time here on the Spideydude Experience, part of the Spideydude Radio Network.